and welcome. I'm your host, Neil Howard. Thank you so much for joining us once again on the Beyond Borders podcast. We're going to be speaking with Mr. Dan Heller and Michael Haskell this evening from Navitas Consulting. Welcome to the program, both Dan and Michael. Thank you very much for taking the time with us.
Thanks for having me.
It's my understanding that Navitas Consulting isn't a BPO proper. You have a couple of specialty niches. Before we get into what it is that Navitas Consulting actually does, if you would, Dan, tell us a bit about yourself and how you became involved with Navitas. And Michael, if you would do the same when Dan finishes.
Sure. So my name is Dan Heller. I have a undergrad in accounting and economics and an MBA in computer information systems. I've been working in IT for over 30 years. I worked for a large Fortune 100 company out of college, and then I worked for about 10 years for Pricewaterhouse, and then became PricewaterhouseCoopers and then IBM. And then I went to work for the third largest advertising and media communications company responsible for their business intelligence practice globally before basically retiring to the Philippines. And then I did some work out here working for various consulting companies for a couple of years. And then a friend of mine contacted me from the U.S. who had a small consulting firm of about 50 people, and they were growing. Mm-hmm. And obviously, cost became a big factor. So he was wondering if out in the Philippines there were opportunities to bring on people, specifically in my area. I'm responsible for the IT practice. Mike's responsible for the accounting services practice. If we could basically help his organization find qualified senior resources in IT that obviously had the right skill sets for the various projects they had and would be at a reduced cost. So we did some research, and this is about 4+ years ago that Mike and I embarked on the company, and we found that there was a large contingency of resources both in IT as well as in accounting services. So he provided us a slew of job descriptions of what they were looking for one of their clients, and we were able to fill them fairly quickly, and then it started to grow from there. So, and typically we can reduce costs by at least 50% compared to resources in the U.S.
Impressive.
So just to let you know, so we focus on getting senior resources in various roles in IT as well as in accounting services, and I'll let Mike cover the accounting services piece.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Neil. So Michael Haskell here. I left the East Coast of the States all the way back in 2007 and shifted out to Asia Pacific. My first couple of projects were down in Australia and New Zealand, and the first one was in the healthcare space and the second in the medical services. And during the 10 years that I built the second business, which we ended up listing on the stock market down in New Zealand all the way back in 2021. One of the things that I did early on, I guess about 2015 or 2016, was I shifted all of the accounts and the admin roles from Australia and New Zealand up to the Philippines. And what we did at that time was we did it directly. So I would fly from Australia and New Zealand up to the Philippines and recruit and then interview staff that we could contract in directly. It ended up being a massive win for us. I mean, we saved a lot of money on those human resources, and we got better performing people. Usually you think that you can do maybe one or the other, but it's really hard to do both. It's actually very achievable to both save on your staff costs and improve the quality of your people. So after we listed that project on the stock market and put in more professional management, I started living full-time in Southeast Asia. Dan and I met, I guess, back in 2020, and both expressed willingness to build a business together. And Navitas, I guess, was set up in Singapore back right around that time, 2020 or 2021. And from an account services standpoint, we provide resources, everything from, a basic kind of e-commerce assistant type role all the way up to a fractional CFO level. We've got expertise going through capital raises. We've got expertise with listings. We've got expertise shifting over from small company accounting standards over to what they call international financial reporting standards. We've been able to do all of those sorts of things. So that's what's brought Dan and I to working together, and that's a bit about my backstory.
Now, are you based in the Philippines or in New Zealand?
So I am based in the Philippines, where my wife and my family are, but a lot of the business that I do is down in New Zealand. For example, I just got back, I guess, last Sunday, not yesterday, but the day before, from my most recent New Zealand trip.
What is it about your two operational niches, IT and accounting and finance, that makes you not consider yourself a BPO?
Well, basically, we provide skills in specific areas. So for like IT, if you're basically have a project where you need infrastructure people or web developers or even crypto developers, we can provide those skill sets, and they tend to be more project based. BPOs is more of a managed service type structure. So, and then we also, all our people, we operate as a virtual organization to keep our costs down, right? So our costs are very low, so we can provide competitive rates to our clients, as well as pay the people that work with us very well, which keeps them on board as well.
You are a virtual provider as opposed to someone who's offering actual individuals working in New England or wherever from the Philippines.
Yes, so they all work from home. They all have internet connection, they have their computers, and so they can, do the work, and they work the hours of our clients, whether it's in the U.S. or New Zealand or Australia. And we find that this approach, the best way to describe it is more of a staff augmentation model, right? So we basically are able to provide qualified resources depending on your requirements, and then they basically work for you. You basically dictate their daily tasks, their weekly, monthly, their deliverables and such. Where BPO tends to focus on more of the low level tasks that companies might have, like help desks, like level 1, level 2. The low, where though we do offer some of those tasks in the accounting services, like in IT specifically, we usually look for more senior roles where they're harder to find and more expensive, and gives our clients a better bang for their buck.
Now, you said talent works from home. Is that an exclusive thing, working from home, or do you have a central location where they can come in every day and work and then go home, or is it a mixture of the two?
No, it's completely, like I said, we're a virtual organization, so we don't have any physical offices. Everybody works from home. We always make sure that someone, obviously internet connections can have issues, so they have to have a site that they can go to, which is usually not a problem because most of the people live in close to major cities in the Philippines. So, and that hasn't been an issue in the 4 years we've been in business. So,
describe your vetting process when it comes to such specialization when you're working with clients in New Zealand and other places with people in the Philippines. Briefly, whichever you, Dan, or Michael, has more expertise in that area.
So basically, the vetting process is that in over the 4+ years we've been in business, I've talked to literally over 1,000 people for various skills in the IT area. So the process simply is that if a client has a specific request or they need someone with these job skills and such, they provide us a job description. We check our database, which has hundreds, if not thousands, of people we've already talked to. We see if we find a match. We find a match. We see if they're still available. And then if not, we post a job. And what differentiates us probably from a lot of other firms is that Michael and I basically vet everybody, right? We obviously have some people that will do the initial filtering process that we have in there, but everybody gets vetted by us. And since we're both U.S. citizens and we've been in our respective fields for many, many years, we have insight and skills in how to properly vet them based on the needs of our clients.
One final question before we get some contact information. When it comes to company culture, Navitas Consulting, you've got people working from home, you're a virtual organization. How do you keep your talents happy? How do you avoid high turnover in a competitive world, not being a BPO yourself, but being someone that provides remote services?
That's a good question. Well, first of all, we're not like a lot of BPOs. They operate on a having hundreds, if not thousands, of employees. We're more of a niche player. We're trying to satisfy clients that have specific needs. So we're not, you know, we're we're not as big. So from a culture perspective, that's part of our interviewing process. We want to make sure someone has the right aptitude and attitude for the work that's going to be being done, right?
Mhm.
And then we also try to we make sure we stay in contact, follow up with all our people to make sure that are there any issues, you have any questions on a regular basis. But mostly it's the culture of their client, right?
Mhm.
So when we're recruiting, we want to make sure they're a right fit for our client, their attitude and stuff like that, so that there's no issues. So it hasn't been a problem for us.
Give us some contact information where our listeners can learn much more about Navitas. Thank you very much.
Well, you can check our website at navitasgroup.ph. And then you can always send an email to myself. It's daniel.heller@navitasgroup.ph.
Great. I appreciate both of you for your time this evening, and hopefully we'll have an opportunity to speak again.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks, Neil.
You've been listening to the Beyond Borders podcast. I'm your host, Neil Howard, in conversation with Dan Heller and Michael Haskell, both of Navitas Consulting. Audio copies of this program are available at verticalinternetmedia.com. You can also find more about our BPO services at outsourcingfit.com.